Dillian the Body Snatcher right here. It's a champ. Big up to Sporting Icon. Subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Alright everyone, I hope you're all doing fantastic in these bleak times, should we put it. Now, for those of you who are looking for content and all this kind of thing, I know boxing news is pretty much low, not too much going on, which is why I'm going to be doing these two particular videos coming up now. Go watch the Barry Hearn podcast that I did yesterday with Barry Hearn. It's nearly an hour long, so that will keep you guys entertained for a while. In fact, it's the only time that Barry Hearn has ever done any kind of video form interview with somewhat of a biopic. So please go check that out. Now, on this video and another video to follow this one will be for the two champions, as in Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. This one will be for the WBC, Tyson Fury, and the other video will be the rankings for the 3 belts that Anthony Joshua has. So I may do a Ring Magazine one as well. If you want that one, drop it in the comment section below. Now, with Tyson Fury, the WBC, he is of course the champion. We could effectively call him the super champion, because Dillian Whyte is the interim world heavyweight champion, which means if Tyson Fury was to vacate it or get moved to franchise champion or whatever it may be, Dillian Whyte will become the automatic champion. That's why he's interim champion. So effectively, it's two champions in WBC. Now, the rankings, which are the top 15. Number 1, Deontay Wilder. 2, Oleksandr Usyk. 3, Oscar Rivas. 4, Luis Ortiz. 5, Andy Ruiz Jr. 6, Joseph Parker. 7, Daniel Dubois. 8, Filip Hrgovic. 9, Alexander Povetkin. 10, Michael Hunter. 11, Joe Joyce. 12, Derek Chisora. 13, Charles Martin. 14, F.A. Jagba. And 15, Ajit Kabiel. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all of them, and I'll give you my thoughts on these particular rankings. Now, overall, they ain't too bad. Of course, I mean, I could nitpick and say that a good couple of fighters such as a Kubrat Pulev or a Adam Kalnacki should be in the top 15 ahead of maybe a couple of people that's currently in there. But overall, when I compare this to the other rankings, the WBC actually holds more of the top 15 fighters in their rankings than what the other ones do. And I'll explain that a little bit more in the other videos. Now, number 1, Deontay Wilder, of course, he's there because he's activated the rematch clause. Okay, the number 1 position was vacant because that's usually reserved for the mandatory. Usually, but not always. This is the WBC, of course. But he will be effectively fighting Tyson Fury again, as when that happens, we don't know right now. But because he has activated it, that's why he's sat there currently. Number 2, Oleksandr Usyk. Is he a top 15? Sure, potentially. But should he be number 2 in the WBC? Arguably not. Reason being is because he's not going to be fighting anybody within the WBC to be going for that belt, because he's a WBO mandatory. So it is somewhat of a waste of a position. Number 3, Oscar Rivas. Now, last time he fought, he lost to Dillian Whyte, and he was ranked number 8 or number 9 at the time. And since he lost, he actually propelled up to number 3. So I don't quite understand their logic behind it. Now, these rankings won't be changing for the foreseeable future. Let's make that painfully obvious. So these are going to be the rankings for the foreseeable future until we actually get boxing back on our screens again. Number 4, Luis Ortiz. Now, he's lost 2 of his last 5 fights and never beaten anybody of any great quality. So should he be in that position? Arguably not. But is he top 15? Sure, I don't have a problem with him being top 15, but being ranked that high is a bit iffy for me, and I'll explain that a little bit more as we go down. Number 5, Andy Ruiz Jr. Last time he fought, he lost his belts to Anthony Joshua in the rematch, but of course he does hold a win over Anthony Joshua, and of course he's Mexican as well, which means the WBC, being a Mexican-based company, they're always going to be quite favourable to the Mexicans. Number 6, Joseph Parker. Again, he does have a couple of good wins on his resume, and he is former WBO World Heavyweight Champion and has fought Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte. So he's a legitimate top 15 fighter for sure. Number 7, Daniel Dubois. He's a WBC Silver Champion, which I'm presuming that's why he has got the ranking that he has. Should he be Silver Champion? Arguably not in some ways, because how do you defeat Fujimoto and become a Silver Champion? Don't make too much sense. But he is a Frank Warren fighter, and you can see him being pushed within the WBO situation rather than the WBC. But there again, with Tyson Fury as champion, obviously promoted by Frank Warren and Bob Arum as well. Maybe. But he's still a prospect, though. But I do think that his upcoming fight, as and when that happens, is it still going to be in June some point? Don't know. With Joe Joyce, if he gets through that one, I would certainly consider him a legitimate top 15. But he's still young. He's still inexperienced in the professional game as of right now. But listen, he's a Brit, so well, my bias says I'm cool with it. Number 8, Filip Hrgovic. Again, outstanding amateur and so far looking really good. And for his very few short fights as a professional, he's got a pretty good resume. And that's being honest. But again, he is a prospect in the sense of the professional game. Is it a bit high for him? Maybe. But hopefully at some point soon, we'll get to see what he's really made of. But in my opinion, him, just like Dillian Whyte, will be the real deal at some point. But right now, I don't know. Number 9, Oleksandr Povetkin. Of course, he's supposed to be taking on Dillian Whyte on May the 2nd. I don't look like that's going to be happening. That's going to be pushed back to another date at some point. But Povetkin has a very, very good resume. Outstanding resume. For those of you who've been following boxing for a long time, you'll know that a lot of the opponents that he took on at those particular moments were of pretty good quality at that time. But certainly a top 15, no doubt. Michael Hunter, again, he's looking the real deal ever since he's moved up to heavyweight. Only one loss on his record, which was to Oleksandr Usyk, where he gave a very good account of himself. And of course, he has a draw over Povetkin. And I know that it's pretty split as to who thought who won that fight. But either way, put up a great fight against Povetkin. Number 11, Joe Joyce. Again, he's a prospect in the sense of professional. We know that he is of the advanced age and he has had a very long, outstanding amateur career. But again, I think a fight and a potential win over Dillian Whyte would solidify him as a top 15, in my opinion. Number 12, Derek Chisora. He's been there, he's seen it, he's done it. He's fought literally everybody, hasn't he? Usually comes up short on the big stage, but on his day, he's dangerous for anybody. So I don't have a problem with that. And he's British as well, as my bias. Number 13, Charles Martin. Do behave yourself. I'm not even going to talk about that one. But hey, it is what it is, right? Number 14, F.A. Jagba. Again, looking real good so far. He has been decked before by Kiladze, but he did get back up and win the fight. But again, he's still a prospect. And I don't see him taking on anybody of any great note because he is managed by Shelly Finkel, same guy who manages Deontay Wilder. So you can pretty much guarantee he's going to be wrapped in cotton wool and just fed journeymen and gatekeepers for the foreseeable future. Is he a top 15? I don't know, and I don't think we're going to see it for quite some time. So again, I don't know. And number 15, Ajit Kabiel, former European heavyweight champion. Not a great resume. His only real step up was against Derek Chisora, where he just went truly outboxed Derek Chisora. He won that one quite convincingly, but hasn't done anything since or even before that. In fact, he vacated the European heavyweight title just so he didn't have to fight Joe Joyce. But listen, it is what it is. Is he a top 15? Potentially. Hopefully we'll find out one day, right? Hopefully soon. So as far as the top 15 is concerned, I think they've got some pretty good names in the top 15. I wouldn't necessarily agree with some of the order. I mean, it's just ridiculous with the fact that you've got, say, Luis Ortiz, who's lost 2 of his last 5, could be ranked as high as what he is. It doesn't make too much sense to me when there's plenty of people below him who's got better resume than him and who haven't lost. Is what it is. Anyway, so these are the WBC heavyweight rankings. On the next video, it will be all about Anthony Joshua. So obviously you guys, you'll drop your thoughts below as to whether or not you think that these are a legitimate top 15. Personally, I would put in there Adam Kownacki, which was my point about Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz, he's lost 2 of his last 5. Adam Kownacki's only lost once, but Adam Kownacki gets dropped out of the top 15 altogether. So why is Luis Ortiz ranked as high as what he is? For me, I wouldn't mind seeing Luis Ortiz versus Adam Kownacki. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if Adam Kownacki beats him. We know he got stopped by Robert Helenius, but again, Robert Helenius, he ain't no bum. I know a lot of people have been sleeping on Robert Helenius, which is why I said when Dillian Whyte took him on, that was actually a good victory for him. But Robert Helenius, he has been prone to get clipped from time to time and does lose. But Adam Kownacki, maybe he'll get that rematch. There's other ones, Kubrat Pulev. But again, much like Oleksandr Usyk, would that be a waste of a position as he will be fighting for the IBF World Heavyweight title? Well, in fact, he'll be fighting for all the other titles. And again, while I know it and most of you guys know it, every time I do rankings, people always ask, why is Anthony Joshua not ranked in the WBC? It's because he's champion of other sanctioning bodies. That's why. Okay. Anyway, drop your thoughts below about it. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.